first introduction to the Grade 1 evening. As many of you have said, it's their first night out in quite a few months. So thank you for coming out. And I'm glad it is the introduction to the Grade 1 evening that has been your first night out. So just a quick Devar Torah and a beautiful idea. Chani sent me Jonathan Sachs's weekly Parsha article in Lech Lecha, and it's an extraordinary article. I'll just pick up on a few tidbits of it. So he speaks about the Parsha and he says, leaders lead. And that doesn't mean to say that leaders don't follow. But they don't follow the path that most people follow. They follow a different path. And they don't conform for the sake of conforming. And they don't do what others do merely because others are doing it. What do leaders do? They follow an inner voice, an inner calling, their own vision. They think outside the box, and they march to a different tune. This is the story of Hashem telling Abraham, Lech lecha me'artzecha, go out from your land, your birthplace, and your father's house. Why did Hashem say that? Hashem said because people do conform. They adopt standards of the environment. They absorb the culture. They follow their friends. They follow their neighbors. They follow everything that's been done in their own homes. Hashem said, I want something different from you. I want something different for you. I want you to create something new. A different religion. I want you to have a religion that does not worship idols, and not idols only in the physical sense, but the idols of power. A religion that doesn't worship power. Because we know that Abraham was without doubt the most influential person who ever lived. But if you think about it, he didn't rule an empire, he didn't command a great army, he didn't perform any miracles, and he certainly didn't proclaim any prophecy. But he's the supreme example of a leader who led through influence and not power. Why? Simply because Abraham was prepared to be different, to leave what was known and common, and to be different. Abraham was called Ha'ivri, the Hebrew. Why? Because the whole world was the Ever Echad on one side, and he was on the other side, the Ivri on the other side. So we know leadership and being different can be lonely. But you continue to do what you do, not because majority is always right, and not because conventional wisdom is wise. You do what you do because you believe in it. And it says, dead fish go with the flow, but live fish swim against the current. So too with conscience and courage. This is the story of Abraham. And this is the story of the children of Abraham, and this is the story of the Jewish people. And we know that the Jewish people, completely disproportionately, have become leaders in almost every single field. Why? Because Jews have chosen to be different and not to conform. And I was thinking about this message, and I think it is absolutely so powerful. That how lucky that we can bring this message to our children. How lucky that we can bring them into an environment that creates leaders, people of influence. They are immersed in a Lech Lecha and an Ivri culture, where we define who we really are and not about conforming. And we lead children who are not becoming victims of culture and norms, and not just doing what their neighbors are doing or what their friends are doing, or what's culturally accepted or what's the norm in society. It's being absolutely unique and different. It's a privilege for our children to have role models and a value system that engages them and stimulates them and sets them up for a life of incredible leadership and influence. One more point before I go on to the topic of tonight is I had to watch a TED Talk for a leadership course that I've been doing on regret. And I found it quite fascinating. So first of all, if you regret something, you're human. The only people who don't have regrets are psychopaths and people who unfortunately have damaged prefrontal cortex. So if you have any regrets in life, you are human. So it's a very, very universal thing. Why I bring this up is there's fascinating research about regrets. So there was a whole research done on the statistics on what is most regretted in life, and the study shows the 6 top most regrets, the things we most regret in life. And the number one by far, which is at 33%, was your regrets, your decision about education. I thought some would say finance, but I'll get to that in a second. Education is the most the biggest regret that people have in terms of the decisions they make around it. Very high on the list was career, romance, parenting, choices around sense of self and leisure. And it just reminded me the power of education. And it's not just about the education in an academic sense, but the education we give our children in terms of allowing them to forge a path of every, to laugh, to be different, to be unique, to be influential leaders, not conformists, and going against the current and really showing who they are with a sense of conviction. So just a side point, it turns out that financial decisions barely even rank. They account for less than 3% of our total regrets. So if you're sitting here worrying about money, the chances are in 5 years' time you won't actually care. So don't stress. Okay, on to grade 1. When I spoke at the SETA concert last year, I remember that the word that came to mind when I spoke about grade 1 was the word exponential. Exponential growth. Exponential growth physically, in height, mentally, spiritually. Exponential challenge, exponential stimulation, incredible development, and exponential maturity. Grade 1 really is an incredibly fantastic year. I was able to experience it as a parent 3 times over, and for the last 2 years as a principal, being able to see it from the inside out. And being able to see it firsthand is an absolute privilege. And this year with lockdown and Zoom was absolutely no exception. So tonight we thought that we'd change up the evening and really try to keep it as practical as possible. You'll go out with the things you'll need, you'll be able to buy what you need, you'll be able to see what happens, you'll be able to read the information. We really want you to leave informed, really practically equipped, inspired, excited, and of course invested. So it really is a real privilege to work in the primary school and be part of such a collaborative, incredible team of people, each person totally invested and passionate in their role. Our team of admin, to Khani, our administrator, and my PA and right-hand person for everything that you do. Our heads of department, Maura Baylor and Maura Mercer in the junior, secular, and Kurdish departments, and with their incredible inputs that they have given. To Dalia, our social worker in the social work department, to all our teachers and all our staff for the incredible involvement they have and the collaborative effort everyone gives towards making the primary school such a special place. And in the last 2 years, we've really seen incredible positive shifts in curriculum, in our reading programs, in our educational methodologies, in our learner support, and even on a practical level, we've made really practical shifts in terms of decisions around stationery, book packs, how we pack the books and how we do the processes, and really a lot of in-depth research goes into it to make it the best and most accommodating for the parents and of course the best for the children. It's also incredible for me to have the most close and special relationship with Maura in the nursery school, working closely together with her. She's done a wonderful, incredible job in the nursery school in terms of providing the education that has brought you here today. And we always focus together on ensuring the most smooth handover between the nursery school and the primary school, and effectively sharing the needs of the parents, the individual students, the parents, and of course the general families. We've also worked closely over the last 2 years ensuring that there's continuity, both on an academic front in terms of literacy programs and reading programs and general language and skill-based programs, whether it's Kriya and Emma or our Letter Lab program, but even specifically with philosophical approaches like conscious discipline and the like. So I'm going to go through a few important pieces of information. Tonight is an introduction. You will also have an orientation day the day before school on the 11th of January, please God. We will go through some more practical information. And early on in the year, very close to the beginning of the year, we have an informative evening for the grade 1 parents, where much more detailed information will go into the schedule and the curriculum and the methodologies of teaching and how homework works. So I'm not going to go into all of that tonight, but if you have any specific questions, you're welcome to ask me afterwards. I'll also say at this time is if anyone has any personal needs to meet or to consult, with absolute pleasure to come call a meeting in the office, discuss your child or your questions that you have around grade 1 on an individual basis, please do go ahead. In previous years, please come inside. There's lots of space in the front, but you're welcome to go to the back. Okay, in previous years, we always got parents to fill out new application forms for grade 1. This is no longer necessary, so if your child is enrolled at Torah Academy, you do not need to do that. Every year we give out an indemnity form, but that will happen digitally at the beginning of next year, please God. I won't go into too much detail, but one of the pieces of information you will receive via email is requesting your decision based on going to Ghaida. I can see in this room there are parents that have never done grade 1 and parents that have done grade 1 many times, so some of you know a lot about it and some of you know less. But just a little bit about Ghaida and how it works is that there's a Kodesh morning program and then the secular program, and then at the end of the day there's two optional programs, one being life skills and one Ghaida, that happens 3 times a week at the latter part of the day from 1:35 to 3 in a real life school day. If you choose to send your child to Ghaida, you're just going to let us know, and so we can accommodate your child. In terms of stationery, which we'll explain later, the box of stationery that you can all take home tonight, which is a stationery for your child, doesn't include the small Ghaida stationery, but that will facilitate towards closer to the time that Ghaida starts. Ghaida only starts 6 weeks into the start of the year, so it will be closer to February, or even a little bit later, and so we'll facilitate the stationery then. Come in. Okay. So an email will go out about Ghaida, and then you just need to respond if you're going to be sending your child, and I can share more information about Ghaida. Often a big hot topic for the grade 1 evening is sports. You know, parents come from nursery school and sports is not such a big deal and they want to know how it works. So I'm going to keep it brief as well because I want to keep things relevant. As you know, sports hasn't been running as usual, but I'll tell you how it usually works so you've got a good picture to know how the sports works in the primary school. So sports in the primary school is, there's a weekly PE program that every class gets to participate in. The children come to school on those PE days, which you'll get a schedule of, in their sports uniform and wear it throughout the day, and get to participate in skill-based physical education. So it's not going to be only game sports pertaining, but it will be any sorts of exercise and activities, and sometimes they will play a soccer game or a netball game or a cricket game in that PE slot. However, the focus on the actual sports games happen in the after-school sports program, which happens after school from 3 to 4:15 or 3 to 4:30, depending on the age and depending on the sport and depending on the season. We have a soccer season, we have a cricket season, we have an athletic season, and for the girls we have primarily a netball season and we have an athletic season. We built up an incredible sports program last year with specialized sports coaches in every field, and unfortunately this year we've had to take a break with that. But we look forward to resuming sports and becoming competitive back in the sports field, on the sports field where Torah Academy was amongst high-ranking teams. You'll see any input there on the cricket side, but I think we played some of the top teams there, from Kes to top King David teams. We made it to the Discovery semi-finals and quarterfinals in a lot of the teams. So our sports department is something we're very proud of. We will be, reinventing it again, please God, next year. All depends on what happens. The other day, Marissa will touch on that, but just to let you know an important piece of information, that the school day at the beginning of the year for grade 1 will end at 2 o'clock. We find that the kids just take time to readjust to a longer day, quite a full academic day, and they're quite exhausted. However, I do find, especially this year, I found that on day 1 all the kids wanted to stay. They couldn't get enough. But if they do stay and you pick them up at 3, the 2 to 3 o'clock last hour of the day is very informal, more play based. They get to play games and read books, and we only bring it into an academic structure after a couple of weeks, usually about 6 weeks, but really we make that decision discretionarily based on how the kids have settled, what the needs are, and if they're ready for the full academic school day. So it does take the first couple of weeks to assess, give them a chance to settle. It's usually hot, it's usually summer, they usually need a lot of outlet time. And once we feel that they're ready for the full school day, that's when PE will begin, the extracurricular will begin, after school sports will begin, Ghaida will begin, and they'll go into a regular school program and day. That's absolutely fine. You choose to leave them there till 3, that's also absolutely okay. So a reminder that there will be an orientation day on the 11th of January, please God, on the Monday, which is the day before school. and it will be from 8:30 to about 9:45. Obviously, we'll send that information out. Okay, so I'm going to hand you over to Marissa and Morabela in a couple of minutes. But before I do, we're also going to show you just a few little video clips, some little inspirations from the kids, a little bit about our program, a little bit of an inside scoop into the classroom. But just to mention a few highlights of the grade 1 year specifically, but about the programming and events that happen in the primary school, and I'll just mention a couple of them. But huge highlights are our SETA concert, our annual SETA concert, our amazing Letterland party, our sports matches, our sports day. We have formal art lessons every Friday. We have big art competitions. We've been involved in drama festivals and talent shows. We do Yom Tov crafts with every Yom Tov. We're involved in Chesed and community projects and programs. The kids enjoy and are part of a market day. We get involved in Abbas Yisrael programs. We've done brachas fees where kids learn all the brachas. We do weekly parasha crafts, lots of Rosh Chodesh gatherings, special day gatherings, lots of programs, lots of speakers, lots of events. Special spring day event, obviously towards the end of the year, special end of the year parties and concerts, big siyumim every time kids finish a period or finish completion of learning. We have Shabbos Mevorach and Tehillim every month, and raffles and incentives around that. And on every child's birthday, every single child in the primary school receives a special gift from the primary school to them, and in an ideal time are called up at line-up when we have line-up. Another important factor that we're really proud of is that our grade 1 adult to child or teacher to child ratios are exceptional, quite unique based on what I've seen in other schools. It's actually only recent, as of last year and then completing this year, that our grade 1 classes have full-time teacher assistants in the classroom. And not just assistants who are sitting on the side and help cleaning, but assistants who are helping with the learning and helping with the ksiva and helping with the kriya and the reading. Teachers who can read with the children, who can help them with their maths, and that's been an incredible part of our day, part of our program, and ensuring that the children do get the best of what we can possibly give them. So in addition to the full-time assistants, we also have Moradini Singer, who specializes literally just in grade 1 in terms of Kriya, and this year we also had the benefit of Morajeni, who's the librarian, to do extra reading with the kids. So we really try to give them not only the teacher and the assistant in the classroom, but also the benefit of as many people and specialists that can help them with their basic skills. Just to quickly comment on the extracurricular activities that we have within the school day, which is library, computers, and I have mentioned sports already. We have a computer program and the kids go out once a week to learn computers. I think their computer skills through lockdown and Zoom have gone way high. So I think we can start off with like Excel and probably like way past Zoom and PowerPoint. But in addition to that, we do have a wonderful online computer program called Purple Mash, which is a program that we pay for, and the kids get a lot of exposure to language, literacy, maths games, and all sorts of subjects that get integrated in their computer skills. And the kids absolutely adore their time in the library. We've just actually introduced it now again, and the kids are flocking there by the, I feel like I want to say hundreds, but more like the 60s. They love spending time in their library, they love the books, they love reading, they love hanging out on bean bags and reading to each other, reading to themselves. Barbara Jenny, who runs the library, always puts out amazing Sudokus and crossword puzzles. And so the library really is a hub of activity during breaks, and they also have their specific library slot where they get to read books and learn about books and learn about authors, and we're very excited, even though we can't compare with the Accra branch vibe in the nursery school in terms of the Jungle Gym. We're very excited that we've just launched a Jungle Gym revamp, and thanks to the generosity of the Interslag family, we will be adding a few incredible features to our outdoor break activities with some climbing walls and some balance beams and some swings and things like that, with an additional revamp of the Jungle Gym. So please, God, your kids will feel very at home with beautiful equipment that they used to, and have lots of outlets and playtime, beyond the classroom. Just want to say a huge thank you to Moradalia, who's here tonight. also for her running of an incredible social work department. Dahlia will be exceptionally instrumental in the transition of the children from nursery school to primary school. She's already has been already in the classrooms doing groups and discussing with the children what the transition will look like, how they feel about it, and will also be facilitating our annual pre-grade to grade 1 tour. So in a couple of weeks, we'll bring all the children to come and see the primary school, to meet the different people, to see the classrooms. Every year we try to change it up. This year I think we'll keep it a little bit brief, not being able to have too many kids gathering around, but definitely just to give them exposure and to make them feel comfortable. The transition is very important. We want them to feel safe and happy and secure and have a taste of what the environment. One more quick thing is that in the past we've always allowed parents to kind of escort their children into the classroom and come back to the classroom to fetch. But I think what we've learned in COVID is that kids are resilient, and the drop-off and the kiss and wave works beautifully. And I think that we look forward to having that same system for the kids who have no doubt will happily jump out of their cars, be welcomed by their moras and the staff members, and come to their classrooms by themselves and already show, which they have already, a lot of independence and resilience. Okay, it's now my pleasure.
As Mara said, I'm Bela Arenstein. I'm the grade 3 boys teacher, and I'm also the junior Kodesh HOD. Besides for being stationery obsessed, those that know me know that I'm also a stickler for price and quality. So it's really been a labor of love and a big passion of mine to be involved in the revamp of the stationery in the Torah Academy Primary School. Last year we were on a mission to revolutionize stationery for the 2020 academic year, to be as cost effective as possible and provide parents with quality stationery products. We were scrupulous in the quantities that teachers requested, and many a time I could be seen really checking with teachers. Are you sure that you absolutely need this? Because stationery lists at this time of the year can get pricey and it hits everybody all at once. So we really tried to do away with anything that was unnecessary, but without compromising on our children's learning. With taking that all into account, we decided that the best thing to do for the grade 1s would be to make mandatory stationery packs to be purchased from the school. We know that for some parents this might be frustrating, as they like to go to the CNA 50% off special or to shop around at every outlet that they can, but we decided to do this for several reasons. The first one is to make sure that the stationery that actually comes to school on the first day works, because not every cheap brand is going to sharpen or is going to write nicely, and the most important thing for the grade 1s is to be able to not have anything hindering them and just to be able to get on with their learning. Secondly, and more so in girls' classroom, there's been a lot of competitiveness and jealousy, who had gold and silver in their Koki pack and who just had the rainbow colors. So we've eliminated that by everybody having exactly the same thing. At the same time as this, we also managed to bring our stationery pack down by almost 300 Rand. So we've removed unnecessary purchases and making sure that your children get exactly what they need and the quality that they need. In addition to revamping the stationery purchasing, we've also changed the way that the grade 1s store their stationery. And with the input from the grade 1 teachers, we have custom designed, our stationery storage system. On the first day of school, at orientation, each child will get a stationery stand like this, which they'll decorate with cookies and stickers, and this stays on their desk the entire year. Everything's easily accessible at their reach. They don't have to be rummaging through pencil cases and worrying about where their things are. So this is theirs for the whole year, and it's been really, like I said, very successful for the grade 1s this year. The grade 1 teachers do request that you label every lid and every pencil and Koki that you will receive in your box, because things go haywire in a grade 1 classroom, and many a time a lid is found on the floor, and if it's labeled, we can easily return it to its owner. What you will notice in your box is that there are no exercise books. Last year, the primary school took away the purchasing of exercise books by the parents and the covering of exercise books by the parents, and now these are all done by the teachers.
Sorry, last year we got a standing ovation for that.
So I'm sure you're all devastated that you don't have to do that during your December break, but your child will come to school next year with a color-coded stack of exercise books. Every child will have their yellow Cassiva book and their blue homework book, and it'll all be labeled and just ready to go. And we'll have Irish and margin when we need it, and faint and margin when we need it, and 17mm cod when we need it, and you won't have to worry about getting all of those. So tonight you will purchase, or you'll be able to purchase a stationery pack. The stationery pack does not include the cost of the exercise books. That is included in the publication fee, which also includes all the school-made publications, and then any books that we outsource, and for example, the grade 1 sit-up. We received really fantastic feedback from parents last year on how the system worked. We will offer mid-year a July top-up with Cost Plus, who's the company who provided the packs for us this year. Often in the grade 1 year, they would have duplicates of rubbers and sharpeners and Koki packets in case things ran out. We decided not to charge you initially for them, but come July, if your child's teacher feels like they're running low on something, we will give you that option to do the top-up. We didn't have a top-up this year because we weren't at school in July. So if you have any questions in regards to stationery, you will notice that your stationery box has been opened and there is no sharpener in the stationery box, because when the boxes arrived and I did my final test drive, I was not happy with the sharpener. So I took them all out, and on the first day of school next year, your child will receive a sharpener that I am happy with.
Label.
So, label.
Stationery boxes, and I can really attest to the fact that they've been brilliant this year, and they've all worked, and everybody has the same colours, and there have been no fights about supply boxes. Hello everyone, I am Maura Marissa. I am the grade 1 girls secular teacher, and I'm the HOD of junior secular. And I always say that whether it's your first child in grade 1 or your 5th child in grade 1, there's something so exciting about opening that new box of stationery and getting them to put on that uniform for the first time. It's just that sense of freshness and a sense of wonder of the learning to come and the expectation of what's ahead in their whole school careers. And we just really, really aim to make it the most wonderful, memorable year as we can. And I feel very privileged to be able to be in the class and just to see the learning taking place. And I think if you look at where they start off to where they end off, it's the most magnificent year of growth that you can see. I believe in the whole of primary school, but I'm biased. So I'm just going to go through these books a little bit with you. They are really just a very brief, almost handbook that you can have. I recommend you put it on your fridge. They answer a lot of questions, they've got a lot of useful information, and that you can just have them on hand should you need to refer to something. So first of all, welcome everybody to grade 1. If we have a look at the blue section, it gives you a brief schedule of the day. Now this is obviously a regular school day without taking much of the new COVID changes into account, but please God, next year it will reach a time that's as regular as possible. So based on a regular school day, school will begin with assembly or lineup, but that obviously doesn't apply right now. It starts off with a Kodesh. There are 3 breaks, as you can see. Please make sure to send enough snacks. They have 2 snack breaks and a lunch break. It is a long day for them and they do get hungry, so just please pack extra. As Sarah mentioned, there is computers, library and PE which do take place during the school day. And that's just something that's really exciting for them. It's something that's new and they love those extracurriculars. Okay, let's have a look at the orange section. So children will arrive by 7:45 a.m. for screening.